Being shy, it's a challenge to photograph people. So here's 7 tips from my book, Photographing People, a guide for shy photographers. Tip number 7, know your camera well. When you know your camera well and you're confident to use it, you'll not be looking down at it and fiddling around when you come to photographing someone. If your head's down and you're fiddling with your camera, it's really not going to build much confidence in the person that you want to photograph. You need to be talking with them, you need to be connecting with them, and to do this well, you need to know what's going on with your camera. The more frequently you use your camera, the better you'll become at it. The skills that you can build using your camera can become almost subconscious, so that you can use your camera without paying too much attention to it. This then frees up your attention to focus on your subject, whether it's a person or actually whether it's anything else. The more concentration, the more focus that you can give to your subject, the better photograph you're going to make of it. Tip number 6, be a determined introverted photographer. If you want to succeed, you're going to have to really be determined to do it. It is difficult when you're shy to photograph other people, but the only person that can help you overcome this is really yourself. I can teach you, I've written a book about it, but you have to be determined to do it. You have to put your mind to it and really work on not just your camera skills, but your personal skills in communicating with others and your confidence in wanting to do so. You need to be determined. Tip number 5, use your camera as a bridge. Your camera is your reason to communicate with people. When you want to photograph them, you can't do it without your camera, so use your camera as a bridge. Use it as an excuse to connect with people. Talk about what you're doing, talk about why you want to do it, but really use your camera more than just as a tool to capture an image. Use it as a tool to facilitate the photograph and talk about what you're doing and why you want to do it, and know that this is the reason for doing so. Tip number 4, start photographing easy people. Some people don't like to be photographed. They're shy, they're uncomfortable in front of the camera, and this is challenging. Don't start with someone like this. Start with someone that will enjoy being in front of your lens and will relish the opportunity to do so. The more someone enjoys the process, the easier it will be for you. You'll be able to concentrate more on what you're doing than having to convince them or jolly them along to have their photo taken. Tip number 3, communicate well. Whoever is in front of your camera, make sure that they are the focus of your attention, not your camera. Set your camera up well beforehand so that when you are with the person that you're going to photograph, you can really concentrate on them. Even if you're having some difficulty with your camera gear or the lighting or finding a good background, talk about what you're doing. This will encourage your subject that you really want to take a good photo of them. If you can explain a little bit about the lighting and the background, they will feel better because they know you want to take a good picture of them. Also, ask questions. Talk about who they are and why you're interested to photograph them. Once you know a little bit about your subject, if it's someone that you don't know, ask some more questions. Showing an interest in someone will build their confidence in you and what you're doing. Tip number 2, have a purpose for photographing people. I had a great purpose. I wanted to keep my job at the newspaper, so I had to learn to photograph people quickly. Not many people will have this motivation, so you need to find a purpose and have a plan to keep this purpose going. Build up a project to photograph the same people or the same group of people over a period of time. As you work with the same people, as you build up a series of photographs, you'll be able to talk about what you're doing and why you're doing it. And this in itself will help people be more interested and feel more confident in what you're doing. Tip number 1, this is for any kind of photography, not just people photography. You've got to practice. So often it's easy to pick up your camera and try something once and be discouraged because you're not taking masterpiece photographs. To do this, to take masterpieces, you've got to practice. It's like any artistic expression. You've got to really practice to be proficient. If you want to play the piano well, or if you want to play the guitar, or if you want to dance, you've got to practice your routines. You've got to practice your scales over and over again. With a camera, it's easy to pick it up, pop it onto auto and take a few snapshots. You'll see an instant result, but it might not be what you want. To get what you want, you've got to know what you want, and you've got to practice. So the more you use your camera, the more you can photograph people, the better photographer you will become, the better people photographer you will become. If you found these 7 tips to help you photograph people with confidence helpful, check out my book. It's available on Amazon. It's called Photographing People, a guide for shy photographers. This will expand on these tips and on a whole lot more that will give you the skills to become a people photographer with confidence.